1051.
It's Power 1051, home of the Breakfast Club. Angie Martinez and that hip hop and R&B. It's your main man, EmEz. It's the Sunday sit down, and today I have the pleasure of sitting across ESPN's very own Josina Anderson.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, no. First, thank you for coming, because coming from where you came from and the traffic that's going on in the city right now, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for actually making it and coming through today and spending Sunday sitting down with me. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome. So I'm kind of doing a counter interview thing here because I got the Periscope on, so you're going out to my followers as well.
What's going on? Make sure you follow me on Twitter.
You don't even have a Twitter. Do you have a Twitter?
I have Twitter and Instagram. It's at I am EmEz. IAMEMEZ. Shameless plug. Listen, let's get to business, Josina.
Okay, let's get to business.
Okay, now, how could I? What's the misconception in sports is that women are just pretty faces. Mm-hmm. How do you break that mold?
Well, I think you break that mold by being substantive and having things to say, knowing your craft, knowing what you cover. I've been doing this for a long time, covering the NFL, NBA, NHL, Major League Baseball a little bit earlier in my career. I mainly concentrate now on the NFL, but I've been doing this a while, and it was always important to me when you come into a locker room, you had a press conference, you know, you are in an environment where you're doing interviews that people know when you're talking, that you know what you're speaking of, and then they can think whatever else after that.
Absolutely. Now, you said locker rooms. As a female, how tough is it in the locker room, especially an NFL locker room, for a female to be around all the time? Like, that's got to be rough for you, no?
No. I think the first professional team that I covered was the Redskins a long time ago. I want to age myself.
Oh, you're from the DMV, right?
I am from the DMV.
Redskins fan or no?
No, I definitely grew up a Redskins fan. I remember, when Doug Williams beat Elway, the whole, thing of Super Bowl. I mean, I have very vivid memories of that. And so when you first do it, I remember being a young reporter, and I was LeVar Arrington and Stephen Davis. I would be in a group of athletes, and they made sure that my questions came through because I was surrounded by national reporters, and they try to talk over you, or little girl, you don't know what you're talking about. Because at that point, you're at the beginning of your career. But guys like LeVar and Stephen would say, "Excuse me, she's trying to get her question through."
They looked you out.
They would look out for me,
Gotcha.
and then you would get acclimated, and then eventually your respect permeates through the locker room because people see that you're in there for a reason of doing business, and that continues to precede you before you enter.
Got you. Now, I'm reading that you used to run track and field.
Yes.
So
you Googled.
Hey, listen, I do my homework. I gotta make sure I know who I'm sitting in front of, right?
That's good.
So, do you cover track and field? I don't think I've ever seen you.
I have not covered track and field professionally for ESPN, although that's something maybe I'd like to do in the future, just because I'm still very much into the sport. And I used to run, like you said, for Carolina, did the 4 and the 800. So one of the races that would get you booty lock a little bit, It's definitely a hard race for those that know.
Yeah.
That track and field, sprinting, and also a little bit of the endurance aspect. So I did that a way back when I was wearing the powder blue, yes.
Yes, shout to Tar Heel Nation.
Shout out to Tar Heel Nation.
Okay, so we know your love of sports. What was your earliest sports memory? Like as a child, what was the one thing that you remembered about sports? Your earliest sports memory?
I was super fast in high school, junior high, middle school. I was always the fastest at my school. Nickname was FloJo, just because my name is Josina, not because I was world class like her. But,
or the roids.
Absolutely. Well, absolutely in the sense that I wasn't, named that because of that. Let me clarify. You are interviewing a reporter, so I catch everything.
Yes.
So I was my earliest memory is just being fast and winning all my races, and then when I went to Carolina, I tried out for the soccer team also. You probably didn't know that, but Carolina's got a rich history of winning championships. And my father used to play soccer back in the day. But I ended up making the team on speed. But, I left because I wasn't really like Pele or anything. So
there's bigger checks to be gotten.
Yes, there were other things for me to do. But that's my earliest memory is just, running track in high school and dominating.
Dominating. She didn't just play, she dominated. You see?
Back in the day, at my school, I did. You know
Hey,
what
listen.
I'm saying?
Everybody can dominate.
Yes.
Who's your favorite athlete
Who's my favorite
of
athlete?
all time? And then actually your current one, but of all time, your favorite athlete.
Oh, man. I'm probably going to take an easy route and just go MJ, just from the standpoint
Tar
of...
Heel Nation. I got
Well,
you.
he's a Tar Heel, and that was really the last time I felt like NBA was appointment television for me, just in terms of, like, I would make sure I would come home and watch it all the time. You didn't have to tell me who they were playing.
Mm-hmm.
I knew already. I didn't have to Google it. I knew the whole schedule. And that was just, vintage. And
Oh, I know.
You know what I'm
Trust me,
saying?
I know.
That I loved it a lot. And now I feel like, to me, my interest grows more so towards the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And plus it's longer than the NFL. 82 game schedule compared to a 16 game schedule. I feel like with the NFL, everything is so much more momentous because it's that one game at the end of the week.
It means so much more.
It means a lot.
Yeah.
Those guys, have putting so much on the line with their health and things like that. So I feel that energy, and I appreciate being around that urgency and the risk factor. You know what I mean?
Man, you have one of the greatest jobs in the world. I would just like to say, if I could do anything else with my life, it'd be covering sports. Not to say that I don't love what I do here at Power. Don't do that. Don't. Love it here. Anyways, back to Josina. Dating life for a strong, black, independent, career-driven woman like you. I'm not gonna lie. Women like you scare me.
Okay, why is that?
Because you don't got enough time for me.
So why does that make you scared?
Because women like you are so. I see now I'm judging or what's the word, generalizing, and I shouldn't do that. But it's like those independent women they're very outspoken.
Right.
She's like, you couldn't handle this right here.
I'm listening.
So now, what is dating life like for you? Because we spoke, you said you don't really take vacations. And then say you get into an argument with your boyfriend and he's a Kobe Bryant fan and you're like, oh, I'm next to Kobe Bryant. Fam, I'm jealous. Like, don't do that. How is dating for a strong woman like you in the industry?
I say it's the same as any other person. Find balance when you find balance. You find time when you find time. And I think it's important to have balance, and that's something that I think is important to me. And you know what they say? You're going to prioritize it, whatever you feel like is important to you.
Absolutely.
And I do the same. So
Gotcha.
it's no different from you, right? We were talking a little bit about yourself before the interview started. And things that you have to do to keep the home happy, right?
I'm getting sweaty. I'm nervous.
Right.
Did
I flip the script?
I'm not used to getting interviewed. Don't do that. See ya.
So it's the same for me. You do what you have to do to keep the situation happy and moving forward.
She's good, yo. This is not your first rodeo.
No, it's not.
Not your first rodeo. Let me ask you some football questions because this right now I'm getting a little. All right, we're still working.
Some degrees?
It's working still. It's working still.
Okay.
Now, okay. Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Brady. Any thoughts? Well, you have to have had thoughts on Deflategate. How do you feel? Do you think his legacy is tarnished, or is it just still the greatest quarterback ever, Tom Brady?
Well, they just had an appeal hearing in New York recently, so
Yes.
Right now the decision is with Roger Goodell to figure out if there was any new information that was presented to the commissioner that would have them reverse the 4-game suspension. I think what I feel like is if the NFL went through the Ted Wells investigation and the $5 million that they, reportedly spent to go through that process, and the report and the decision off of that was that Tom Brady wasn't as compliant as they would have liked him to be. So then to have that and then have Tom Brady be able to present new information at an appeal kind of renders to me the Wells investigation a little bit moot from the standpoint of it almost sets a precedent if they were to have an external investigation again for an athlete to be able to say, I'm not going to really comply with this. I'll just wait for the appeal. That's kind of what happened. So, and I'll just get a little technical here with you, just a tad. When Troy Vincent wrote his letter to Tom Brady, one of the things,
the NFLPA.
That's no. That's he's an executive with the NFL.
Okay.
When he gave the disciplinary letter to Tom Brady or sent it out or communicated it, and there's reasons why I'm saying that to Tom Brady. Part of the reason he said that it was a part of that suspension was you didn't comply. So if you didn't comply, but now you're able to comply in the appeal,
that doesn't make it any better.
It just kind of renders it a little bit. It doesn't make sense. So if that was a part of the original discipline is what I'm saying, you would think that maybe some of the original discipline would stay since that was an original component of the original discipline. You understand what I'm saying?
I got you.
Yeah, so that part of it for me is a little bit not fair, or I don't necessarily like, because I think that to a certain extent you got to respect the process. But on the other hand of me, the civilian of me, the non-reporter of me, the athlete, so to speak, I understand not having to turn over your phone records and wanting to do that. Because that's a whole nother, that's like you being at your employee here at Power 105, and then they say, hey, we need your phone because you got into this matter. How would you feel? Turn it back on you. How would you feel about having to turn over your cell phone, your text messages?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know about all that.
See, so there you go. So there are things that I understand on the Tom Brady side, with the science not all matching up and there being different questions, and I wouldn't want to necessarily turn over my stuff. Mm-hmm. But then on the other hand, I understand the non-compliance and certain common sense aspects that I think come into the investigation. Sorry to give you a long answer.
No. It's in-depth coverage from Josina Anderson. This is exclusiveness right here. What you mean? All right. The next question. Your hometown Redskins. Mm-hmm. What's the quarterback situation over there?
With RG3.
Is he starting? What's going on?
Yeah, I think he's coming into the season as the starter. Went through some adversity last season with the injuries.
As the starter.
I don't know. I mean, the NFL is a rough sport. If he's healthy, but I mean, at the same time, he's got to show better decision making.
Absolutely.
He's got to maintain his accuracy, and they just drafted Sheriff, and he'll be on their offensive line to help fortify that. So, any of you watch football, you got to have an offensive line in front of you to still protect you. So hopefully, he has a better line in front of him. He's a new father. So I think that'll help bring some, added perspective into his life.
It definitely does, because being a new father myself, it changes your view on a lot of things.
Oh, yeah?
Man.
Like what?
Choices. Like, do I really want to go have this other drink, or do I just want to go home and see my little baby?
Oh, there you go. So maybe he has additional choices other than that. But, yeah, so I think it'll be interesting to see how his relationship also evolves with Jay Gruden. Obviously, they had some static issues in the locker room with the quarterback and all these other things throughout the latter half of the season. So we'll see how that.
Let's stay in the NFC East because I'm a Giants
works
fan.
Out. Okay.
What about the Cowboys? Des Bryant.
How you say you was a Giants fan and then you just went to the Cowboys?
Because I got to worry about the Cowboys before I get to my team.
Okay, that is their first game of the season. Okay.
And they talk about I haven't seen Des Bryant. I don't know. Is he signed? Is he sitting out? Like, what's going on with Des?
Well, right now, Des Bryant has until July 15th to sign a long-term deal, which is what he's been asking for a long time. Right now, he's got agents from Rock Nation, another one from CAA, and they're trying to work that out to see if they can get it done.
But didn't he did say he would sit out the season if he didn't get his contract,
He's threatening that, but a lot of athletes threaten that. And it's easy to say that until you actually get to day one of week one. Not just training camp, because yes, they miss money if they miss training camp, but also because he said he'll miss week one. That's what he said. So that's the first game of the season. So we actually have to get there to see if he's would actually do that.
Hey Des, from a Giants fan, I wouldn't mind you sitting out.
I know you don't want him to be there. It helps the Giants if he's not there.
I could appreciate you, man. Sit out, get your money, man. Wait for you. Be like the Roe Reavers, man. Don't get your money. Don't listen.
Yeah, but he gets fined while he's not there. Too. So get your money, but miss money.
Technicality for a Giants fan.
Right. Okay.
Now let's get to the team that matters. My Giants.
Okay.
What are the perspectives for my Giants? Eli, we got Victor Cruz come back. Odell Beckham, talk to me, Josina. Come on now.
Well, you want to start? I'll start with the pessimistic side a little bit. Because, I'm sorry, we got to keep it real. On one hand, you have Odell Beckham, who is still nursing a hamstring injury. He had a hamstring last year, although it's the opposite hamstring that caused him to miss 5 games.
Because he's always dancing. Once he stops dancing.
So I think his teammates are hoping that he can come through this injury. And he was very busy in the offseason. He was everywhere.
Madden cover.
He was doing everything. So I think, they want to see that he can, do the fun stuff and also take care of business, which I'm sure he will. But he's still got to prove that and get over this hamstring injury that he currently has or nursing it. And then you got Victor Cruz coming off a patella tendon. And I was at the last day of mandatory minicamp when Tom Coughlin said that he expects him to participate in training camp, but they don't know what level of participation. So we got to wait and see. So you got your 2 top wide receivers who kind of for training camp.
Justina,
I'm just saying.
what's your favorite team again?
I don't have a favorite team. I like all teams.
Uh-huh.
Especially when I'm working.
No doubt. She just bursted my bubble right there.
Then you got Ruben Randall, who's going to be very motivated.
Yes, we need
because
him.
his role was somewhat, more limited when Odell started to flourish. So I'm sure he would like to remind everybody what he does because he's a very talented receiver as well. So that's your receiver situation. Rashad Jennings, who I'm currently working on a feature with for ESPN. He's coming back super motivated. He missed, I think, 5 games with something that was going on with his knee. But he's very talented. And I know that he wants to have a full 16 games where he can just run through. And then your quarterback.
My quarterback.
Your quarterback. He's just got to not throw interceptions.
And he won't. Eli, I got you, man. You're not going to talk bad about Eli.
Season. No, I'm saying, he is a 2-time Super Bowl champ.
People seem to forget that.
But he's just got to keep it clean. And they started to show promise at the end with Ben McAdoo's offense.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Tri-State, it was a pleasure to sit in front of somebody as knowledgeable and well-spoken as you.
I appreciate that.
And I hope that you come back. I hope you have an easier time getting home than you did coming here.
That's okay.
And again, thank you for coming by. Appreciate it.
It was definitely worth it. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you again, Josina Anderson, ESPN's very own. EmEz, it's easy weekends, the Sunday sit down.